This album would be so good if they didn't make this one mistake. Welcome to Music Monday, everybody. I am Benjamin. This is your channel for everything from alternative rock all the way to metalcore, and today it is time to review the new album Crisis of Faith by Billy Talent. This is their 6th studio album and the first album in 6 years, so did the long waiting period make for their best album ever, or is this a huge disappointment for fans? Let's find out.
You drag me down to a hole so deep I'm crawling out of my hands and knees. I'd stick around but I know it's gonna be the end of me.
The first single for this album, I say single because the album wasn't even announced, was Forgiveness 1 and 2 back in 2019, and it was not what you typically expect from a lead single. It is 6 minutes long, over 6 minutes long, and it surprised me, but it surprised me in a good way. And then over the course of almost 3 years they released half of the album before it dropped, which is probably a smart move in the streaming era, but takes away a lot of the excitement of listening to a new album for the first time. But Crisis of Faith still managed to surprise me quite a bit.
Hanging out with all the wrong people. I was hanging out with all the wrong people.
This is definitely their most diverse album so far. There are songs on here that scream classical Billy Talent, like Reckless Paradise or I Beg to Differ, that are both reminiscent of their 2 last albums, or Reactor, that kind of sounds like an Afraid of Heights B-side. But there's also Hanging Out with All the Wrong People, a storyteller that reminds me a lot of their song The Dead Can't Testify, only that Hanging Out has a very nice, very Billy Talent-y lyrical twist at the end. They do also branch out and have songs like The Opener, that's their longest song ever, with a saxophone solo that's absolutely amazing. There's The Wolf, that features an 8-piece string orchestra for the first time in their career, and then there's Judged, which is their punkiest song to date, with Benjamin Kowalewicz just absolutely releasing a monster on the vocal side of things.
For being born in your skin. For love that they call a sin. Because you're different and not profile default element.
Guitars are great on here, especially The Opener features not only a great riff but also an insane solo. I also love that the bass is not only a supporter on this album, you can actually hear it doing its own thing, which is great. Instrumentation in general is definitely a step up from their last album, Afraid of Heights. The production on this album is great for the most part. I love when you can actually hear what the drummer is doing, and that's the case for most of these songs. And even if the guitars are a little too much in the background compared to what I personally enjoy and their other previous albums, production-wise that's almost the only issue here.
Reckless paradise. The house is burning, trapped inside a reckless paradise. The wheels are turning, true tie lies in reckless paradise.
The diversity of this album can also be felt on the lyrical side of things. The impact of the pandemic and recent societal developments can definitely be heard on tracks like Judged or One Less Problem. But you also have some of the most personal songs from the band. For You is the cutest love song I've heard in a while, and The Wolf actually made me cry the first time I heard it, which is unfortunate since I was riding my bike. Anyway, the songwriting has never been an issue for Billy Talent, and it's the same here. Emotionality, check. Multiple layers of meaning, check. Societal issues, check. And cheeky humor, double check. Actually, Rivers Cuomo, their first feature in their entire discography, made for one of my favorite lines, "You can't pay for dinner with the victim card." That's pretty funny. Then there's One Less Problem, that deals with the overload of issues and debate and discourse that we've seen in the last couple of years, and how that can be overwhelming at times. While Things Will Get Better gives you hope in exactly those scenarios, which is weird because it comes before One Less Problem in the tracklist, but that is an issue that I will talk about in a second. After I mentioned the absolute beauty of the lyrics on The Wolf, a fire that burns out for the last time, so wear this when I'm gone because I won't be here to keep you warm. This song is very tear-inducing.
A fire that burns out for the last time. A satellite falling from the sky.
Even with all all that praise, there is one issue with the album I have, and that's both the pacing and the song placement. What you normally do for an album is you hype people up at the beginning and then get emotional and slow towards the end, often with the longest and most emotional song at the end. This is not what happens here. It feels like two separate 5-song EPs at times. You don't have one idea running through the entirety of the album. It's like two different cycles that go like this and then like this again. The first one ending with Reactor and then the second one starting with Judged. I was very much against the idea of Forgiveness as the opener after I looked at the tracklist the first time, because Forgiveness 1 and 2 has all the characteristics of a closer, while both One Less Problem and Reckless Paradise encapsulate the theme of this album so much better. And can you imagine how it would feel if the first Billy Talent album ever, after 6 years, started with Judged with this song?
Goddamn motherfucker with an old world plan. I swear someday we'll be rid of your clan.
But I got used to Forgiveness as the opener, and I now feel like it was a risk the band took that did turn out really good, but the same cannot be said for the song For You as the closer. I love that song, and with an album like this, with a message about a world in crisis like this, I totally understand why they would want to end on a positive note rather than a sad one, but The Wolf is just the perfect closer, and it really belongs there for you to actually feel its impact. After this song about death and leaving your loved ones behind with some beautiful lyrics, I am not ready to just go back to a song like Reactor. I think they honestly underestimated the power of that song, because for me, it kills the pacing right in the middle of the album. In general, the album could have used some shuffling in the tracklist to work a little better. I actually put together a reorganized version of the album in the description below, which I think works a lot better for pacing than the original one.
I scream at distance, but nobody's listening. Searching for the ends, but their journey's a reason for existence.
Even if you're not the biggest fan of Billy Talent, there are some songs on this album that branch out from the sound that you're used to by them so much that it's really worth checking them out. My personal favorites, the list of my personal favorites is in the description down below, so make sure to check that out if you want to. This album is really good, but it would be a lot better if you rearranged the songs ever so slightly. If you listen to albums on shuffle anyway, then this album would be a 9 out of 10 for me, but as a front-to-back experience, I can only give Crisis of Faith an 8 out of 10. So, what did you guys think of Billy Talent's new album, Crisis of Faith? Make sure to drop a comment down below and let me know. Make sure to drop a like for the YouTube algorithm T-Rex, and make sure to follow for more reviews like this. You can see the last review I did for the new Skillet album right there, and yeah, that's it for now.